Hey everyone, today I wanted to show you how to do a minimal install of Debian GNU/Linux on your PC and or laptop in this case. Essentially, Debian, it's pretty easy to install, and it's one of those tools, not tools, I should say, operating systems where you can install a couple different ways. There's the Calamares installer. You can install via straight CLI, I think, or you can install like an ISO with like a kind of like a desktop or a environment built in already. But today, if you just want to install something and have it just be plain, kind of, I call it, in my words, like a minimal install. That's what we're going to do. So, yeah, without further ado, as you can see in front of you, I just have a laptop with, obviously, I can't find a boot device. There's no OS on it. It's wiped. So I just kind of have it flashing here so you guys can see that ahead of time. And what I'm going to use today, and I'm not going to cover that in this video, but I'm going to use a USB, and I got a little label on it, Ventoy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but Ventoy is essentially like an imaging tool you can use, and you can have multiple ISOs on there. It's actually really neat. You'll see that in a second here, but yeah, basically without further ado, we can get right into it. So basically, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to power this guy down. Just give it a second here, and then I'm going to stick my ISO in the USB port on the side here. So just give me 1 second. Make sure I don't topple things over. Okay. Alright, cool. Yep, now that I got that in, we'll turn this bad boy up and we'll have to get into the BIOS. I'm not going to change the boot order, actually. I'm just going to boot from the USB directly. But in the case you need to do that, in every BIOS it's a little different. But essentially I'm going to boot this up and pound that escape key like it's a slot machine at the casino. Hopefully I can get in there very quickly. Yep, we're in. Let's do this, and then we'll do boot device options, and we'll boot from this guy right here. Booyah. Alright, we're in. Yeah, so this is Ventoy. Like I said, I'm not going to cover that in this video, but it allows you to boot from various different ISOs. Like you see, I have a bunch of stuff in here. I even got Windows. I got Tails, Tempo OS, RescueZilla, Kali, Gparted. But today we're gonna do. I even have TinyCore. Wow. Today we're gonna do Debian 13.0.0 just for some fun. Let that boot up, and I'm gonna boot in. I'm gonna try Grub 2. You can do normal, but I just like to do Grub 2 because it's what I like the best. And we're just gonna do graphical install. Make this very smooth. Sometimes it gets a little hung up at this point, but that's okay. Just give it some time. This is an older machine. I should note that. So, well, it might not be as old as some people's stuff, but it is definitely a little bit older. Let that kind of kick in there, and boom, we're already at the starting screen. So I'm just gonna choose English, United States, American English, blah blah blah. Just give it a moment here, kind of think. If I can turn up the brightness on here. And I do have a network cable plugged in too. I know sometimes I have to do an offline install, but I do have a network cable plugged in, so I'm going to choose that sucker. Just makes it a little bit easier. So we'll be installing, I guess it'll install the base of the system, so, but we'll see here. Alright, a host name, we'll just do test. Domain name, just LAN. Alright, we'll skip this. Boom. Let's do test. I'm just doing this as a video test. We'll do test as the password. Yep, if you want to break into this, go ahead. Don't care. Just a test. We'll just plow through this. Very simple configuration stuff. Now, the partitioning of disks, there's a couple different ways you can do this. I usually just, use guided and LVM, electrical volume management, but there are a couple different things you can do. You can partition to have like your home directory, home directory on different partitions. So if you want to have like different PCs and you can just move the home directory, that's fine. But I usually just do guided. I mean, for this case, it doesn't really care if It doesn't really matter, I should say. So I'm just going to use guided, use the entire disk, because why not? And then, yeah, here's that part I was talking about. You can separate that home partition. I'm just going to do all in one, because we're just doing a test here. And we'll finish this. We'll write the changes, and now we'll kind of hang out. Probably have to maybe speed this up or skip this part of the video. We'll see. Alright, looks like everything got partitioned, and now we're configuring our package manager. I'm just going to use basically the default stuff. Use apt out of the box. Not going to set a custom mirror or anything, so we'll let that configure itself. Should be fairly quick. Now comes kind of the part that I want to focus the video around, the selecting and installing software, but I think it's got to go through some steps here, so we'll kind of let that run in the meantime, and I'll check back in again when this is done. Alright, and then there's the usual popularity contest survey. Essentially, if you want to send some data to the Debian team, I usually say no, so no thanks. We'll bypass that and have to wait for some more things to install here. Alright, so this is the main part here, where you want to make sure that that you don't select any of the desktop environments. So what you want to do is, I always unselect GNOME, Debian desktop environment, and then I just make sure I have the standard system utilities selected. That's all we want here, just the state, or if you're trying to do like SSH or web server, that's fine, whatever. But I'm just going to do standard system utilities just so you have a little bit of things out of the box. I know it's not literally a bare minimum install, but it's going to be a pretty minimum one, you know, from my perspective. So we'll do that, select standard system utilities, and then we'll be good to go. We'll let this sucker install. Kind of have to hang tight for a little bit again, but yeah, I'll check back in once we're done. Alright, and then one last thing I think we have to do before we're set is install the bootloader. Essentially, you know, that's kind of needed so you can boot into the OS itself. So basically, you just want to make sure you don't have another one already installed, and you want to install this one to your primary drive, and you'll select yes. And then you'll select obviously the drive you want to install to. And I'm not going to do my USB because that would ruin my Ventoy, so I'm going to do the actual hard drive itself. Or in this case, might be a solid state drive. I'm not sure on this one. It's a little bit unique, this one. But yeah, we'll let this install. And again, I'll check back in once this is done. Should be done shortly, and then we can boot into the OS. Alright, that was pretty quick. So now the installation is complete. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to click continue and then remove my Ventoy USB, and then we'll see it boot into the OS for the first time. So without further ado, here we go. I'll click continue, let that wrap up. Let's take that USB out and let that thing reboot. Should be fairly quick here unless something went wrong. There we go. We got Grub, GNU Grub, the classic one. That's what I like to call it, classic Grub. Let that sucker boot up. Alright, and now I know it's very hard to see because I don't have a desktop environment, which is exactly the point. But if I kind of take this and zoom it into the top here, you can see here, actually maybe I'll move my camera, that we have a TTY. You know, we got the logon screen, right? This is no, you know, we got no DE here, no desktop environment. So I'm just going to log in. I got to kind of hold my camera here, so please excuse me, log in. Alright. I mean my password test, and then boom, here we are. Kind of go through. I mean, it's very basic install. I can actually I'll install something really quick just so we can see here. That's very minimal. Trying to do this one-handed, so please excuse me. We'll do a sudo apt update. Just off the bat, it's always good to do, even though it should mainly be up to date, I would think. But yeah, we'll do this quick. Everything's up to date, alright, and then I'm just going to be lazy, up arrow, install. We'll do fast fetch or neo-fetch or whatever. And then, I know I said I wanted to be minimal, but I just like to have this. It's easy to show people things with this one. Let that install quickly. Shouldn't take too long. Alright, looks like it's already there. Let me just do a clear on this. So we got an open screen. Oh, take this, clear, and then fast. Oh, fast fetch. Excuse me. Fast fetch. Boom. Look at that. There we go. Very minimal. Only 328 packages or whatever. Yeah, I guess, yeah, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, very minimal. You know, just kind of got the CLI and your basics, and I installed fast fetch just to show, you know, just to, I guess, kind of show off, I guess. Just kidding, this isn't art or anything, but yeah, essentially that's basically, you know, minimal, you know, minimal install of Debian GNU slash Linux. Pretty easy to do, you know, it's not very difficult. But yeah, basically kind of showing too, it's got ping, so at least, you know, you can do some things, but yeah, you know, fairly simple to do. It's kind of, I like doing this because in my case, it just feels kind of fresh. You know, I know some of the desktop environments, they can have kind of a lot of junk out of the box, so I just always like to do this and then kind of do it my own way. But yeah, that's how you do a minimal, excuse me, Debian GNU slash Linux install. You know, hope you guys enjoyed. If this was helpful, please leave a like down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.